Hello, welcome Leica fans and anybody else interested in VOIGTLANDER lenses. Today I have the brand new VOIGTLANDER lens for Leica M-mount. That is the VOIGTLANDER APO-Ultron 90mm f2 VM lens. Coming up, everything you need to know about this lens. I'm going to do a comparison against the APO Scope R 2.8. I'm going to do a comparison against the Leica Summicron 90 f2. This is actually the pre-spherical. And by the end of this video, you'll know whether or not you may want to get this lens or something similar. Let's get into the video. Hi there, Matt here from MrLeica.com. So if you're new here, this will be my 77th VOIGTLANDER related video. And for today's video, we head to Poland. The goal for the trip was some of my usual model photography and then also walk around, do lots of sample photos so you know whether or not you may want to get this lens. A special thanks to Flaghead Photographic who sent me the lenses to test. As you can see, it's available in both black and silver. Okay, lens spec. Let me tell you a bit more about this lens. So I was using the lens on the digital Leica M10P. And it looks great in black on a black body, but it also looks great in silver on my Leica M3, as you can see here. The lens does extend as you focus, and it's got a close focus distance of 0.9 meters. It's got 12 aperture blades, which gives really nice rounded bokeh with half-stop aperture clicks. This lens feels very Leica-like. It's both smooth and solid, and it's rangefinder coupled and manual focus only. Okay, lens characteristics. What do the photos look like? So as I say, I flew to Gdansk, Poland, one of my favourite cities in Europe. Met up with patron Thomas, and he kindly did the behind the scenes for us. Bokeh. So the bokeh is very pleasing, especially f2. You get the cat-eye bokeh at the edge, more circular bokeh in the centre. As you stop the lens down, thanks to the 12 aperture blades, you can retain the circular bokeh to the most part, and it's more pleasing and smoother than other 90mm lenses. Lens flare, I tried to do like a handheld lens flare test, as you can see here. So this is me using my hand with and without to show there is veiling flare on this lens. Veiling flare basically means a reduction in contrast across your image. For that reason, I would recommend using the lens hood. That being said, the flare isn't that bad, and it's quite difficult to make this lens flare badly. As you can see from these example images, that was the worst I got. Okay, lens glow. So pointing the lens at points of light at night. When we think about glow, we often think about vintage lenses, and then modern lenses often have zero glow. I think VOIGTLANDER have got it spot on here, where you've got some glow to give the photos some character, but at the same time, it's not overwhelming. Vignetting, so the darkening of the corners. You see it a bit at f2, 2.8, but it's pretty much gone as you stop down. Sharpness, that's obviously important for some of us. So first, infinity sharpness, and I'll do a corner crop first. So as you can see, it's you stop down, the lens gets sharper, but I'd say from f4 onwards, it's really sharp. Okay, next we're taking a center crop. So again, as you stop down, the sharpness improves, and I think from f4 onwards is the real sweet spot. You can see some of the detail you can get when you zoom in on your images. Okay, colors. What are the colors like from this lens? To my eyes, the colours from this lens are very pleasing, not oversaturated and natural looking. That said, I do add my presets to most of my photos when I edit, or to all of my photos when I edit. So on the left, you see the raw files, and then on the right, as I tend to shoot black and white, I flip my images to black and white. This is true whether I shoot models or test photos, as you see here. If you want to use my presets, I can put a link below. It makes editing really quick and takes all the pain and hassle out of editing, which for me is a massive plus. Love the colours, but also great in black and white. Okay, portraits. If you've seen this channel before, portraits is my thing. I am a model photographer. I wrote a book about it. So how good is this lens for portraits? If you're a regular viewer, if you follow the MrLeica.com blog, link below, you'll know that I love 50mm lenses. That being said, 90mm is absolutely fantastic for portraits and very, very flattering, the way it renders the face. 90 f2 for Leica is similar to 85 1.4 for say Nikon or Canon, so it's really good if you want to get into portraits. Talking of portraits, do you want to see more content? If so, join my Patreon. I can put a link below. I've been posting videos on Patreon for I think over 4 years now, with mostly videos every week, and you'll get to see kind of the real me and all the stuff I don't include in the final YouTube cuts, because I try to keep the YouTube videos as short as possible and kind of all information and nothing else. So if you want to see behind the scenes of how I shoot models, you may want to join Patreon. If you love the idea of getting into model photography or just learning how to take better portraits, I would recommend getting one longer lens to go in your kit bag. As I say, 90mm is very, very flattering. It gives you that added reach to give you more comfortable distance between you and your model, but also the added compression and the shallow depth of field, which give you those very flattering beauty shots. After a decade of model photography and thousands of models, I wrote A to Z guide, everything you need to know, all questions answered. Link below to that if you're interested. Here you can see more example portraits shot with the 90mm f2 at f2 to give you the most shallow depth of field and the nicest bokeh. Now if you're planning to get into model photography and want to set up your own photo shoot, first you need to plan your location. There's a chapter on finding your location. I actually found this one on a morning run and then we planned to be there for sunset. I then planned the clothes according with the weather conditions. It was freezing. I'll put the full Gdansk video on Patreon soon. Okay, let's now compare the APO-Ultron to the 90mm Summicron pre-spherical. So here you can see both lenses side by side. You'll see that the VOIGTLANDER APO-Ultron is the smaller of the two and it's considerably lighter, as we'll see. With the lens hood added, the height is maybe slightly similar. The hood does reverse mount when not in use, which is great, compared to the Leica one, which is telescopic. I own the 90mm Leica lens and it is fantastic for portraits, but I didn't have it with me in Gdansk. Thankfully, patron Thomas had his silver one, so I borrowed his instead for our testing. Here you can see it on the M10P and it's quite a large lens on an M camera. And here you can see the focus throw. It's quite considerable. It just takes forever to go from close focus through to infinity. I've never really noticed it before because I tend to work at a similar distance, but it's almost ridiculous. It takes that long. We climbed up to a high point behind the Gdansk station so we could have a view over the city for our infinity sharpness test. So first a corner crop. Here you can see both lenses side by side at f2, f4, 5.6. The VOIGTLANDER is definitely sharper than the Summicron, both wide open and stop down. Next, a center crop. I think the results are maybe slightly similar, but again, the VOIGTLANDER's got the edge at all f-stops, 2, 4 and 5.6 as shown here. Here's a bigger zoom in so you can see, and it's definitely sharper wide open and at 5.6. We happened to choose a day with sub-zero temperatures and my hands were absolutely freezing. I only had one glove because I lent them to a model and she'd accidentally taken it home. Oh well, back to the testing. Okay, here's center sharpness and to see the rendering of the blur in the background. The Summicron is a lower contrast lens, which is maybe more pleasing for portraits. In terms of lens bokeh, both the lenses have great bokeh wide open. As you stop down, I'd say the bokeh is probably nicer from the VOIGTLANDER because it's slightly rounder bokeh balls thanks to the number of aperture blades. That said, the lower contrast of the older Leica lens gives a smoother, lower contrast out of focus area. Let me know in the comments which you prefer. Here you can see more testing side by side and center sharpness. Center sharpness is pretty good on both lenses when you work at like close focus 1 meter distance on both lenses. I'd be happy with both. I think that's why the Leica is so good for portraits. For a fair test, consider the Leica APO lens, not the pre-spherical shown here. See that video. Okay, what about the APO Scoper from VOIGTLANDER? So here you can see the APO-Ultron, the 90f2 new lens, and then next to it you can see the 90f 2.8. Field size, you can see the APO Scoper is only 39mm compared to 52 with the APO-Ultron. Height is similar. Weight, the APO Scoper is only 250 grams compared to 340 for the APO-Ultron. Price wise, similar, $899 for the APO-Ultron, $799 for the APO Scoper. Both 90mm VM lenses for Leica from VOIGTLANDER have 0.9 meter close focus distance. These are rangefinder coupled lenses as mentioned. If we do a quick sharpness test at infinity top left hand corner crop, sharpness is better from the f2 lens. It's also around the same sharpness at f2.8 on both lenses. If you want to see a full video on the 2.8, I can put a link below. For a more thorough comparison test for 90mm lenses, I did a test between the new lens and various other 90mm lenses for Leica. I tested these lenses at close-up for bokeh and sharpness and also at infinity. I will do a full video for this with all the detailed test results. Feel free to subscribe for that. And I've also done a video for 135mm lenses too. Link below. So in conclusion, can I recommend the new VOIGTLANDER APO-Ultron 90f2 for Leica? I'd say yes. Firstly, it's 6 times cheaper than the equivalent to 90 APO from Leica. It's smaller, sharper and lighter than the pre-spherical Leica lens that I love. It's 1 stop faster than the Scoper and quite a bit sharper in the corners as you stop down. This is really good if you shoot a lot of film, the same as me. And it's just an excellent portrait lens, and models tend to love longer lenses when you show them the results. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, and as always, thanks to my amazing patrons.